Hey there. I wanted to create a sim that I felt personified my anxiety at the moment because I've been dealing with so much of it lately. So I'm gonna start with her traits. I decided to work backward. I normally create the sim and then pick the traits according to whatever story I made in my head about them. This sim is going to be creative, lazy, and squeamish. I think these traits kind of go along with how I see myself right now. I'm definitely feeling lazy lately and I hate it. I was going to pick gloomy instead of creative originally, but I do think of myself as creative, just not the best at executing my creativity. Her aspiration is Renaissance Sim because despite my laziness, my mind never seems to rest and is always in search for something. So it makes me a curious person, and in my curiosity, I create hobbies or pick up amateur skills in random areas. I was thinking that it would be cool to make a sim or decorate an apartment and just have a chill session every Friday where I could talk about my emotions and get a little deeper and kind of have fun with my inner monologue that just never shuts the up. I like being funny and silly, but I think my happy place, or the place that feels more comfortable to me, is in a deeper emotional state. I tend to feel more awkward being silly because I think it takes a very particular type of person to find me funny, which I've realized is actually part of my anxiety, and it kind of gives me social anxiety. It's a curse, I tell ya, to be so aware and yet so scared of what hasn't even happened yet. Anyway, let's create this sim with as little rambling as possible. I can't promise anything. So I tend to choose this body a lot. It's by Highland because it seems the most realistic to me. It's curvy and not too slim. Now, if I made her shorter and gave her cellulite, I feel like that's me. If I lost like 25 pounds. Let's not talk about my weight right now. I've moved on to the eyebrows. I remember reading something about spotting a narcissist by their eyebrows, and I thought, you know what? We've taken this narcissism awareness entirely too far. I spent a lot of time picking out the right eyebrows. What does that say about me? I did find a reference photo of what I wanted to depict with this sim as far as anxiety. I think this image looks vulnerable. She looks like she's holding back a tear, but her eyes also look tired because anxiety does take a toll on you mentally, but it does trickle down to your physicality as well. I just don't feel motivated right now, and then I start to shame myself and tell myself that I'm lazy. So I think this picture feels like that. It feels like that emotional weight. I tried really hard to find eyebrows that best look like the reference photo, but her eyebrow hairs are facing downward. And most of the eyebrows I have, most of the custom content eyebrows I have are brushed upwards. I don't even look at Max's Match eyebrows, honestly, because the eyebrows depend on the kind of hair that I want to use. And I already know that I wanted to use alpha hair on her because I wanted it to be messier. All of my eyebrows are brushed upward. So I moved on from trying to find eyebrows that artistically match the photo and decided to use what I found looked best on her. Like I said, I spent a lot of time here, but I didn't fix her eyebrows to emote that sadness a little bit more. I do that towards the end, kind of when I remembered what I was trying to achieve here. For her lips, I did try to make them look more like the photo. They look pouty, so no smiling. I immediately rid her of that joy. I messed with her facial structure a bit, and I kind of feel like I got the look that I wanted. So I want to just talk about a schedule for this channel that I want to follow, because creating this sim and allowing myself to open up about my emotional struggles kind of inspires me to really share it and to continue sharing just random thought bubbles in my head. She definitely gets a bit more tired looking at the end because when I create a sim, they're normally cute, but I wanted this sim to look tired and drained, and I don't really get there until the end. So I'm thinking on Fridays I'll do videos like these where I could focus on a really time-consuming part of the sims, like create a sims or build mode, where I could spend hours just filtering through a massive library of options. It allows my mind to kind of shut up for the moment and focus on something I want to create or organize or figure out, and then I'll voice the video over with whatever I was trying to free my mind from the chaos in my mind. So I chose lighter eyes for her, and I don't normally like choosing light eyes because I love myself a good brown eye. I just feel like brown eyes look so gentle and I love it, but I chose lighter hazel eyes for the sim, again because of the reference photo. You're kind of drawn to her eyes because they look clear and it enhances that look of almost crying and black and white, and I liked it, so I kept it. But I do love these eyes by Crybabies. I can only find them in the Sims resources, but I would love to just mass download their CC. I love these eyes so much. This is also where I changed her eyebrows a bit. Instead of angling them downward, I angled them upward to emote more of a worried or a sad look. Her nose was really easy. I wanted to make sure I emphasized the tip of her nose, and I made that prominent. I think overall she gives more of a relaxed look when she's in a natural state, and I think that's what I really wanted. I don't want someone that looks like they're peppy. Oh, skin details. How much time do I spend here perfecting the look? I take everything off at one point and started all the way over. I'm just so indecisive sometimes. Now I have particular CC that I add to townies whenever I want to incorporate them to my game. It's essentially a formula, if you will. But I love to hand select each feature for a sim that's in my household. Little details just give them character and can depict their backstory. So I spent a lot of time here, but my problem was that the very first skin I threw on her, I loved so much, but I wanted to also look at other skin overlays for her. I go back to the first one a lot. I couldn't stop looking at her eyes, and in hindsight, I do wish I had made them more droopy. I wish I had dragged the outer corner of her eyes downward a bit more because that looks a bit more gloomy to me. But like I said before, I normally make sims that are cute and aloof and not really sad too often. So I missed the mark on that one. But I think she looks so normal right now, you know? I tried my hardest to make these eye overlays work, but I might have to admit to myself, as much as I love them, the darker in skin tone I get, the worse the overlays look. They're sometimes too warm and red, and I wish it went more purple or burgundy. I think that would look more neutral on darker skin tones, especially on darker olivey skin tones. That's the skin tone I normally like to play in. I'm not gonna lie, I'm bad with shade names and explaining undertones, but I know this wasn't working too well with the skin tone I chose, and this is where I start over. Starting over is something that I don't like to do, so I'm sharing my entire process and keeping in the fact that I took everything off and started over. And that kind of perfectly illustrates the state of mind I'm in right now. I was laid off back in December, right before Christmas, and I knew it was coming, so I'm not a victim here, but I am in a transitional state. I can start over and go back to work in a new place where my schedule interferes with my kids, and I force myself to be flexible at a job while also feeling immensely guilty for not being 100% in either my career or in parenting. Or I could stay at home with my kids and have the flexible schedule that I need right now. They're both important to me, and I'm leaning towards choosing my family, but it makes me feel like I'm being lazy, and it hurts because it shouldn't be this hard. I should be able to choose my family without feeling shame or guilt. And it's not coming from my partner or my friends. The shame comes from my head. That's my anxiety. Creating, however, even if it's just a sim, is a welcome distraction. It always feels good just to talk about it. Anyway, back to my sim. Her hair was pretty simple to choose. I wanted something that had strands over the face and looked messy. Messy is a bit hard in The Sims, especially with Max's match, so I knew I was going to use some sort of messy bun or updo. That's my signature lazy look. I did try to add highlight to give her more of a sweaty look like the image, but it just doesn't look natural all the time. I also didn't want to give her too much makeup, maybe some mascara, but I decided no blush. She can just go live her naturally beautiful life. Bitch. I'm kidding. I'm also going to quickly zoom through her clothes. She's not really trying to create a fashion statement here. Her lazy ass just wants to be comfortable, okay? So I picked clothes that fit that, nothing too special. But I did kind of forget a few times that I was trying to achieve that look. So I'm totally here for that curly hair over her face. It just fits her face. I added some body hair and a few little tattoos. I wish I had more small tattoos. I may go on an entire hunt for that, but I think she would stamp some of her creativity on herself with a tattoo. But maybe something small and subtle because she is squeamish after all. That trait was chosen because my anxiety messes with my stomach Talking about stomach issues on the internet, super embarrassing, but anxiety just makes me want to throw up. And I find that's when my eating is also its worst, because when the pain goes away, I just want something satisfying before the pain comes back. So it's almost like my anxiety dictates even how I take care of myself. And again, the shame returns. I could have eaten better. I could go to the gym and justify my eating, but it. Exercise. I really did want glasses on her, but I looked at my reference image again and I kind of really like how raw her eyes are without any distortion caused by glasses. I'm also going to be giving her some accessories, but not too much because again, she's lazy. Accessorizing requires a certain kind of motivation that I just don't think she possesses. So I filmed this late at night when my kids were sleeping and my oldest son actually woke up in the middle of the night. So I think I kind of didn't give that much effort to her after he woke up. So I do feel like she's a bit incomplete. One could say that that is also part of my anxiety, just feeling like I never really quite finish things. Again, it contributes to me feeling lazy because I'll pick things up and then I'll drop them after I guess they fulfilled whatever they needed to fulfill in my life. But why is that a bad thing? Why do I have to shame myself over liking different things and then not being interested in them a little bit later? It's not harming anybody. It's not harming my children, and it's not harming me. In fact, I find it fun and I like that about myself. So why do I feel so bad doing it? In fact, having all of these hobbies, whether they stick long term or they don't, has helped me be more comfortable being alone. I enjoy being alone. I'm not very social, and I'm never going to pretend to be social because I'm not comfortable in that setting. And having a hobby, something that I can look at and be proud over, there's just no comparing. There's no comparing. It's the best feeling in the world. And I don't need to share the experience with other people, but I love sharing the end result. I love being like, look at what I did. Look what I can do, you know? That part I want to share, but not the part of like creating. Does that make sense? Like, I don't need you to be with me while I'm creating this, but I want you to see it. You don't need to do it with me though, but see it, look at it. So we're nearing the end of the video and I'm pretty tired of hearing myself talk. I've been going off script now for a couple of minutes and I'm really uncomfortable. This is not my comfort zone. I can talk to myself for hours though. Why did I just admit that? I think she's pretty much done. She looks appropriately tired. I love the sweatpants with the sweatshirt. That's totally my lazy look. And if you are experiencing anxiety, I hope that at the very least you can see that anxiety is a little bit more common than you may think. We all go through it. I'm going through it. It'll get better. We just have to get over that emotional wave. And that's it. That's the end of the video. Peace and love to everyone out there.